next day, there was like a line around the block for the show. They had heard he ate the cheese, and it was like a sick thing. But so I got there right before it was cool.
Sick.
All right, let's see this question.
Okay, I see the question.
Okay.
You gotta hold the mic up to it.
Hey, Harold and Sean. Love the pod. Thanks, you guys, for doing it. Definitely gets me reading more.
Nice, dude.
Do you guys think that literature can be a salvation for sad, lonely young men? And if so, what should I or they be reading, would you think? Also, if you have any thoughts on Cormac McCarthy and his books, would love to hear them. Thanks.
All right, what do you think?
Well, you're just talking about sales and nonsense art, and I thought of that. That kid's. Oh yeah, what do you think? You read Cormac McCarthy?
I've read The Road.
Is he goat adjacent?
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah.
Is he goat adjacent? You said? I mean, I bet like
he's probably only paying attention to Faulkner.
Yeah, he's paying attention to Faulkner and Melville, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we ought to maybe go through Blood Meridian or something. I tried to read it when I was in high school, but it was a little over my head. But I know I've read what
Blood Meridian.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm gonna stop eating.
Harold Bloom talks a lot about him, and he says like he's from Melville and Faulkner.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely worth reading.
Yeah.
Right, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But, I have Suttree and Blood Meridian.
Okay.
And I read
I have Suttree. I read Suttree and Blood Meridian.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, those are the two I
then
have.
we got to hit that.
Yeah, we got to hit those.
I think Suttree's.
I think I might be able to. Yeah. I guess a couple things I was thinking of was, okay, well, it was that kind of a crazy thing where like last night I got requested to do this profile.
Oh yeah.
And it was kind of out of the blue, but it was like, and the editor was being real nice and was like, maybe do like a column, like the next one. And I was like, oh, sick, And they asked me, so I started going in on this guy, this painter, because I didn't really know about. I'd heard the name. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then now I'm covering different painters as of today, because something happened with that. But I was just going in on this story,
Yeah.
And the amount of like speculation in that field, I guess it's called like zombie formalism.
Okay.
And it was like this thing where it'd be like a type of modern art where like his big thing was called like rain, and he made all these paintings are just like little dots, but but like it was this whole thing where with this type of art, like the intention and even the circumstances behind how the painting was made is like part of its value. So he like put paint into a fire extinguisher.
Okay, sick.
So like, people know that, or like a different one. This dude was doing these like abstract things.
Yeah.
But he was using real silver. So it was kind of like it harkened back to, it was like half Jackson Pollock, but then half like, what's it called? Like, with a silver example, like with art in a church or something.
Yeah. Okay.
The gold in
the
painting has to do with the value. It's like the materiality.
Yeah,
of
for
it,
sure.
You know what I'm saying? And like if everything's indistinguishable in like postmodern times, like some kind of like intention or weird thing about how it's made distinguishes it, makes it unique. You know what I mean? So like, but the amount of speculation in that world is so broad. So just seeing how this dude was like, it was like hyped up and made all this money, and then everyone fucking hated him.
Yeah.
And then he like withdrew and like got a house in Montauk.
Yeah.
And was like, fuck everybody. And just went completely dead silent for 5 years. But just in terms of like, and you're talking about like how you're feeling about the sales, and we're talking about only pay attention to the ancients, and like, I mean, even lately with like partially being distracted with like being out working and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I have been, and then I'm like, busting my ass to like work and shit. And I'm like, kind of like, all right, now I got like some time, and I'm applying like a workman, like, attitude to my free time. And like, what do I need to get done? I don't know. I just think like, and then I was reading, I feel like there's something about closing yourself off to the outside circumstances that's like more important. That can have to do with literature.
Yeah.
That is not necessarily what literature seems to be.
Yeah.
About.
I think Cormac McCarthy's a good example of that.
Yeah.
He completely
true.
closed himself off. Like he was like, And another good example of him is just someone who keeps writing and keeps trying to do something different. I mean, what was his last book? He was like 88 or something like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
And he was just living with he was just hanging out with a bunch of scientists all the time, trying to learn about science and
Yeah.
shit like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's about the painting, right?
Yeah.
And we still got to answer the other part
But
of that.
I'm still thinking, but we're kind of talking about
But
it.
about
We
the
kinda are talking about it.
one thing that I think really impresses me about painting, and especially seeing them old paintings, right, is one, all them painters like them Renaissance, post-Renaissance, like that whole middle period of, those centuries, right? They all have to know all the religious motifs, right? That's what they all have to know. That they have to know all the religious motifs, and the way they learn is they're in the master's workshop, right? And they're just copying the master, right? They're all doing the same thing, and they're copying the master, and so it's literally like a step-by-step evolution, right? You copy the masters literally by hand. You go look at the paintings, and you draw them out, and you just copy them by hand, and then you try to take a step forward.
I did about 7 or 8 Van Goghs with pastel
Is that right?
in 9th grade. They're fucking fire, dude. I swear to God, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm Van Gogh. For
Yeah,
real.
see-
That's why I put him in Fuckboy.
Yeah. Wait, is Van Gogh in Fuckboy?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, briefly.
Briefly.
Because we're talking about painting.
See,
Looked
yeah,
at my mom.
yeah.
And she's
Yeah,
like,
I love
you know-
Van
you know
Gogh.
Van Gogh is
Yeah.
the wood print
Yeah.
artist. Yeah. It's just mentioned.
But yeah, see, like someone like, I mean, we
So
Five
yeah, you
times.
copying
Yeah.
the master.
yeah, you copy
Learning
the master
religious
and then you take a
motifs.
step forward,
Okay.
right? And that's
Yeah.
like
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
that. I mean,
There's no masters now.
Yeah, there's no master.
Is that what it is?
I mean, but there are. There's
No,
guys.
there are,
you
but
know.
I mean, the market isn't rewarding
No,
people
no.
who have a quiet, patient
Yeah.
reverence for. Because I think in the culture now,
Yeah.
it's just classic late empire stuff where there's
Yeah.
a disdain for any type of greatness. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure, for sure. No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, people just hate greatness. That's
Yeah.
what's funny. And that dude, Lucy, when we were talking, I was like studying him.
Yeah.
And I was like, this dude's a fucking egomaniac. Dude, he
Yeah.
sounds like me for real.
No, that's
I'm
funny.
just
I've
playing, I'm
been.
just
I've
playing.
been.
I was like, this would be too real of a profile. We have like the exact same like
Yeah.
career arcs, you know?
That's funny. I've been.
Maybe he got shook. He fucking ducked out.
There were a couple occasions since I've been back where I was like checked on my ego, but just like
Okay, yeah.
I'm talking. I'm letting my internal thoughts come out, right? And people are just
In how you're talking? how
no,
you're
yeah. It's
writing?
just like I'm talking to my sister. We're trying to put together this comedy show, right? We're having
I
a
saw that. For the-
yeah
with
show at the
with
gym
boxing.
October 5th.
Yeah,
come
sick.
through,
I'm
come through,
for
yeah.
sure. October 5th.
Yeah,
dude.
no, that'll be fun. But and she's helped me set it up, right? And she's good at like all this business stuff.
Yeah.
And I ain't, like that ain't my purview.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I deserve a different sort of leeway. I'm a genius. And she's
Yeah.
like, you're not a genius.
Yeah.
Shut up. What proof is there that
Yeah.
I was like, well, like it's incontrovertible. Like, but it's just like no, it's just funny the way I talk to Gabby sometimes too, and I'll get all grandiose,
Yeah.
and she's like, "What are you talking?"
Yeah, no, that's what.
And I'm like, "What am I?"
yeah, you're gonna teach her how to be like you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what happens. That's what happens. That's what.
I mean,
Well, you say you're a genius all the time.
yeah, and yeah, I mean, how is it gonna happen if you don't believe? Like, no one else is gonna believe in you if you don't believe in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Yeah.
gotta believe in your own vision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and also you have like, I think it does have to do with like what you're saying about the painters and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, because I think that there are masters, like there are worthy
Yeah.
master thinkers
Mm-hmm.
to follow. There's something like primordial about that. Like, who was I? I think it was. I think someone was talking about the 10 Commandments and the
Yeah.
value of the 10 Commandments. What's the first commandment?
It's
Thou shalt not kill.
have other gods before me.
Okay, that's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what is it?
That's the first one.
Okay,
And,
and
then thou shalt not
Not covet the neighbor is 10.
Yeah, I think so.
So like this dude was saying, there's two things. There's two things. One is look up to the heavens.
Yeah.
At God, and don't look around yourself too much.
Yeah.
It was kind of a bar.
Yeah.
It was a,
Wait, okay. That's good to say for Paradise Lost, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that idea is good for Paradise Lost.
Okay.
But
You want to you
wait. So
what I'm saying is
yeah.
there is I think like is there any other I'm sure there's other,
Yeah.
but I think it definitely is like I don't know. I'm remembering it all the time, but you know, looking up at the thing you're following and like the writer you're reading,
Yeah.
and like not looking around you too much and you know, it is kind of like a, you know, if like Christianity is the first like thought pattern, the thought field that says like being like not acknowledged by the world is like even more valuable.
Yeah.
Right? That's you know, if you look at the stories of like the most important writers, historically have generated value over time. It's almost like not being acknowledged is more valuable. I mean, that was the problem with the whole Lucian thing, was like the works didn't have any time to generate
it was
a
right
story
away
and value.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Through not being recognized. You know what I mean? So
eventually, I mean, I feel like if you're doing something special, nobody's like people aren't gonna. Everyone's not gonna catch on right away. If it's something really special, like how often does that catch on right away? I mean, maybe with some books, I don't know,
and not even special.
Yeah.
Importantly critical.
Yeah.
Of the people.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know if it's a salvation, but it's a arena in which you can practice faith.
It's literature.
Yeah, I think so.
And okay.
And the limiting of the purview was very important and very difficult.
Yeah.
I was actually experiencing in the past like 48 hours where I was like kind of letting too many things in my brain, and then like a flow. And it was from reading your book too a little bit, even though like where the sentence, like, you know what I was reading, going back to reading was that Bernard again.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
I had
yeah.
a craving to read septology again because I haven't had that much of a experience, like a transcendent experience in a minute. And I just want to. Oh, and another kid, this 18-year-old kid, Diego Sanchez, who's just got out of high school.
Yeah.
Is been hitting me on the pod.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and he wants us to do a 2666 pod.
Okay, yeah.
But he's translating a bunch of the dude
from Spanish.
Yeah. The dude who Ulysses Lima is based off of, Mario Santiago.
Oh
like that.
Shit! Yeah.
Yeah. But I was going back to books that I know I like, and like, but with the Bernard, it's like the purview is really limited.
Yeah.
And he just stays in one thing and keeps riffing out. And there's something about just like the long sentences and making the whole writing, like, what if like, that's what I was thinking recently. Like, instead of like a plot that like all fits together, that draws you to it, where like you're kind of exercising your conceptual brain when you're reading it.
Yeah.
Have like a syntactic mode where like for yourself, your only goal is to make yourself keep writing and to make the reader keep reading.
Yeah.
In like where you don't veer off the main thing too much. Like, having the limiting purview and like the looking up to and remembering what you're looking up to.
Yeah.
Be like the
That's
guiding
like septology,
formal
right?
principle.
Like,
That's
exactly.
like septology.
But-
And Bernard before that, right? He never leaves the space he's working with.
But that's the thing about literature,
spring.
right? In the terms of salvation, right?
Yeah.
What it is like, I mean, what you get salvation from Christ, right? You're going into the church, right? And it's all the history and the vastness, right? You go into a big that's the way you feel. And I feel like when literature is that, right? Except you can have a more critical attitude with it and a more dialectical attitude where you're taking and giving and you're engaging with in that way, whereas
Versus just following?
Whereas just obedience.
Right.
Right? And
I would argue that the Christ story isn't just about obedience.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to say to Matthew, but he was like, I'm like, you're imposing Old Testament understanding of Christ onto...
Well, he's a little he's like a bishop or something. He's very dogmatic.
Yeah, he's like a member of like the Roman Catholic like promotional crew.
Yeah.
He's like here to fucking get money.
But okay,
the Pope.
But that obedience thing is interesting because I would say that in Paradise Lost,
Okay, yeah, break down Paradise. Teach me about Paradise Lost. Get me charged up, dude.
okay,
Because I'm a little bit. I read
Wait.
about it. I'm already going. Then I
Yeah.
start reading it. I'm like, bro, your flow is crazy, dude.
the flow is crazy.
The flow is crazy.
I mean, and sometimes he'll go. I mean, there'll be like it really goes from like it'll be like 2 pages of fucking referencing mountains you never heard of and Greek
Yeah.
myths and something,
Yeah.
and then it starts to hit a sick charged flow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me get another beer. Wait.
Get another read. Give
wait.
me a tea, dude.
Talk about where you're at Paradise Lost.
Okay, so what happened with me was, I swear to.
Read it before?
No, I never read it before. What actually happened with me was the first week I was out in Hershey, because I was only supposed to be out there for 10 days, and it got extended to 3 weeks. And once I realized I was going to war for a month, like the idea of like being cooped up in my Best Western in fucking Hershey, PA,
Yeah.
like writing away by candlelight, like kind of went out the window, where I would just be so burnt at the end of every
Yeah.
day. But that first week, I was like up at night, fucking.
Going in?
Reading and stuff. And I did read the first book incredibly slowly.
Yeah.
And what happened was, every time I'd hit a Greek myth, I would go
You look
down
it up.
about 2-hour fucking drunk ass
Yeah.
fucking Wikipedia rabbit hole. Yo, dude, a couple of them were kind of fruitful though.
Okay. Yeah. Like
Wait,
what?
remember? Did you ever start the Boccaccio yet?
No.
Oh, you know what else I did? I applied to I applied to a major American grant to
Oh,
to
the
turn
library one?
Not to turn Dante book essay into a book.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it after.
Wait. You
But-
also got to apply. You ought to apply to the library. One.
What you mean?
You know
There's a
this?
library one?
Yeah, it's this library fellowship on the main
Oh, for real?
branch, and it's like, I mean, they throw you serious.
I
Man,
definitely apply to it.
it's like a salary, and you just all you gotta do is work in the library.
Sick, dude.
Like,
oh, I gotta apply to that.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Yeah, but I was including like one thing I was saying. It was like I'm gonna read like every because that was a big epiphany. Remember I was saying my new genre is auto myth.
yeah.
It's actually auto mythography.
Auto mythography. I love that.
Because
Yeah.
they're all mythographers.
Yeah.
Boccaccio has a history of the gods.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, it's like people clowned it because like
Yeah.
100 years later, like they were like, this is like wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you misread this in that book, but it's like thousands of pages, and like I think like Yale University Press, something like that, put it out like 20 years ago.
Oh,
It's
okay.
2 volumes.
It's not part of the Decameron.
No.
No, okay. It's
No.
just the history of the gods.
Yeah, it's a history of
Okay,
the
yeah.
gods, and then obviously theogony and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these fools are writing like histories of the gods.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I would get sent down some stuff, and I was also connecting it all to. I mean, that was the other crazy thing was, I'm gonna let you do your Paradise Lost rant, but another crazy thing was that like I really want the walk to like adhere exactly to Dante.
Yeah.
Because all the
nice.
rivers adhere to it.
Yeah, nice.
And I was going out there to Hershey, and it was right by the river Styx in my walk, which is the Susquehanna River.
Yeah.
On day 9, just like Canto 9 of the Inferno.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh,
where I was,
wow.
bruh.
Wow.
That's where I was. So
Yeah.
the train I was taking, Coatesville, where I met John that one time,
Yeah.
Lancaster, is through all those places.
Wow.
So I was retracing that
Yeah.
route. So I was all glowed in the beginning. By the end, all my mysticism left. I was
Yeah.
just, you know what I'm saying, I was just a fucking
Yeah.
hardened worker by
Yeah.
the end, materialist. But yeah, so that's how it was. So I couldn't get past that far. And then I started listening to the audiobook. But it's hard because it's what you want. What I want to do is
Yeah.
I want to do we can title on YouTube like Paradise Lost, nothing else.
Yeah.
Once I've read all the notes.
No. Okay.
'Cause I
And
have to read all the notes, dude.
that's the thing too. Okay. But let
It's
me
a catechistic
just
text,
prime you
like,
for it.
like Dante.
Yeah, because
Prime me for it.
I got to finish and I also want to think about it a little more.
Yeah.
Because I mean I read it in
You read it
2020
before.
and it was huge for my book, right? My
yeah.
book's 12 chapters because of
Right.
Paradise Lost, and in the first version of the book, like in the last chapter of my book, that Lucia read the last lines of Paradise Lost to her mom.
Right.
Well, yeah, because that was the only book, right? But so you just kind of got to ignore like.
Some of the
Well,
references.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
some of the shit because he really like snaps off
he
and like
snaps, dude.
goofy shit. right? And sometimes the syntax gets pretty wild.
Yeah.
But what happens is, so he goes on these long fucking riffs or whatever.
His daughters are all confused.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
writing
His
it down.
daughters
How
are
do you
so
spell that?
confused.
He's like Hades.
His daughters are so confused. and then he's
I've
like,
been doing
read me Homer in Greek.
Yeah.
And they're like, they have
They're
no
like,
idea what the
Yeah.
fucking letters are.
Dude, I've been saying that. That's been my new riff where I need to get some daughters so they can transcribe. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm,
literally.
I'm too alcoholic now. I can't.
Yeah.
It's too slow. So I need to just get drunk and like, read it out, transcribe it to my daughters.
But that's what he would do, right? He would wake up with the lines fully formed, too. He thought that he had Homer's muse, and Homer's muse was feeding him the lines.
Love that.
And the first invocation is crazy. And you remember when, you remember when McDonald dropped that on us?
No.
When he goes,
Dude, can we try to get McDonald on the pod, dude?
Yeah, we
I
gotta
wonder if he'd
try
be
it.
down by now.
he might be down.
could be down,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah, we'll have to ask. We'll just,
Go, dude.
but he goes, in the first line, his invocation, right? He goes, he's trying things unattempted yet in prose or rhyme.
Right.
Right? That's what this poem is for.
Right.
I remember McDonald dropped that on us. He was like, that's what you guys should be doing.
Right.
Things unattempted yet in prose or rhyme.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think if you get into it, it actually reads pretty novelistically and like easy. And there's so much, it's a lot like, it's really Shakespeare-y in the lines. And you get Satan. And so basically, I think it's about obedience and freedom.
Yeah.
And because God and Christ in this are kind of self-obsessed. And
Okay.
they're very me, and
Okay.
the world is created. So it's God first,
Yeah.
right? And we don't get this until book 5,
Yeah.
that it's God, and Satan is the first created angel.
I'm through 4 kind of.
Okay.
And then I started listening to 9.
Yeah, okay.
But I got lost.
Nine's the fall.
Yeah.
But so
I wanted to hear the marriage of 4.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God, Satan is the number 1 fucking angel. And then God one day decides to make Christ. And he just pops up all of a
Adam.
sudden. No.
Okay.
God decides to make his son,
Okay.
right? He's like
Okay.
the son out of him.
Okay.
The son didn't exist. It was,
A lot of filioque things.
yeah,
going on
yeah,
here.
right? So,
Yeah.
there was some contention about that with you and Matthew. Huh?
Yeah. I don't think he even understood it.
But
yeah.
and Satan was kind of mad. That was the reason for the fall given in Paradise Lost. Is all of a sudden the son became the leader of all the princedoms, kingdoms,
Okay.
thrones, and Satan decided to rebel because of that.
He made Christ back then?
Yeah, he made Christ,
Whoa.
right? And that's what started the war. Because Satan couldn't tolerate that.
Okay.
And then he starts saying, like, I begot myself. Like, he brings, like, all the rebellious angels. He's like, do you guys remember being created by anyone? Like, we created ourselves. We're powerful, right? He's looking for this independence and this freedom out of
Right.
God's obedience.
Right.
And so what Milton does, right, like Shakespeare, is everything is doubled. Every character has a double. And Satan's
That's
double,
like me, dude.
like,
Like fuckboy.
yeah,
Keep going,
exactly,
keep going.
Satan's double is Eve. And Eve is created out of Adam's rib, and she's immediately subordinate to Adam. And in her memories of first being formed, she walks over to the lake, and she looks in the lake and sees her reflection, and she can't believe how beautiful she is, right? She's never seen anything so fair
That
and
reminds
beautiful.
me of somebody.
Yeah, and she's so delighted. And Adam comes over, and he's like, no, you know what? I'm the fairest because of my intellect and
Whoa.
strength. And she's kind of like, okay, I got to accept that Adam is the stronger.
Whoa.
And so what happens is Satan decides, and I think there is this underlying current in the whole thing of Eve's like subtle rebellion. And it's
Okay.
almost like Satan knows that she is like him, subordinate, beautiful, the fairest. Because he thinks he's the fairest, the most beautiful thing in heaven.
Satan does?
Satan does. And
That
all of a
pretty
sudden,
bitch, dude.
Christ comes up, and he's
Okay.
the newest, hottest thing on the block,
Okay.
right? And so Satan goes and whispers in Eve's ear while she's sleeping, and she dreams that she eats the fruit from the tree. And she wakes up and she tells Adam her dream. And she's all frazzled about it. And then he's like, you know what? Let's just ignore that and keep doing our thing. But from the time where she has a dream on, she like doesn't want to be around Adam anymore. She's trying to find every way she can to be alone without him.
Wow.
Like, the one archangel comes down.
Which one, Michael?
No, it's Raphael, right? And he's explaining everything to Adam. And Adam starts questioning him about the celestial orbs or whatever. And Eve leaves while he's questioning about the celestial orbs. And Milton goes on this thing where, she could have known if she wanted to because she was smart enough to understand, but she
didn't want to know.
But she didn't want to be around Adam.
Can't tell these.
She didn't want to listen to Adam talking about the celestial orbs and shit, right?
Yo.
Yeah.
You're snappy right now, dude.
And then the next day,
She didn't want to hear any more Dante rants?
No, she did not. She was not interested. She's not. She wants to be alone where she can cultivate her own private freedom.
She's trying to go some parties.
Right? She's trying to look at herself in the lake, right?
She's trying to get dressed up and
Yeah, that's
post on
right.
Instagram. Damn, dude.
But
Okay.
so the next day, book 9, right? What happens in
Okay.
book 9 is
That was 8?
Yeah, that was 8.
Oh.
All of us, and we never see them not with each other. And all of a sudden, she's going off. It's very strange.
Whoa.
And in book 9, they wake up and they're doing all they do all day is they frolic around and smile at each other and pick
my
fruits
God.
and then have shameless sex.
Oh, my God.
And what they do, and she goes, "Hey, you know what? There's a lot of fruits around. Why don't we split up today?"
Okay.
And he's like, "No, we can't split up. There's this," because he's been warned about the tempter, right?
Yeah.
He's like, "There's this tempter around."
He's a rightfully possessive
Yeah, he's
boyfriend.
right. He's like, "I've heard there's this
like,
fucking
"I know
the
it's out
most
here."
beautiful angels in the
Yeah.
garden. He's trying to fuck you."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm not gonna let you go out
can't go to
alone."
Times Square.
And he's like, and she's like, "You don't trust me?
Mm.
Like, you don't trust me to go out alone?" And then they get in this argument, and finally
like,
he
"No."
goes, "Whatever, you can go. You know what? God endowed us with
Okay.
will, right?"
Yeah.
And so Satan snuck in there, and he went into the serpent, right?
Okay.
And the serpent starts talking to her, and going like, I ate. Well, he starts flattering her about her beauty because he knows that she feels the way he does. You feel, oh my God, I'm the most beautiful, the most fairest thing
He's playing into what he
in
knows.
creation, exactly. And
She'll respond to.
why would I be obedient to someone else when I'm the fairest thing in creation? And you know what he says to her too? You're so fair, and what? Only one man to look upon you? Only one?
Jesus.
That's all? When you could have universal admiration, right? And then
That ain't right, dude.
and you know what she says? And
What's she
he's like,
say?
"Oh, you got to come over to this fruit." And she goes, this kind of sounds like bullshit." And she goes, "I know you're really pushing me eating this fruit hard," which just tells me that she has been thinking about this the whole time. She knows the devil's wiles, but she's interested in it for her own freedom. She's not. This is no
she
trick.
She wants to fuck around and find out.
Yeah, she wants to fuck around and find out. This is no trick. She was not convinced into anything.
Future album dropped this morning.
Yeah. He should do a fucking Paradise Lost.
Yeah, dude. You just do a Pluto Lost, dude.
Yo. But and then she eats the fruit and then she gives it to Adam and they have right away he's like charged up. He's like, holy shit, and they have some lustful sex.
And they discover lust.
Yeah, they discover lust for the first time.
first
and they
time.
go
And
at it
shame
like
and
animals.
guilt.
And then it's horrible. And then they go into that's where I'm on book 10 now. And they go into the misery. Like Adam has like the 2-page
Molly
rant.
done worn off, dude.
Yeah, exactly. The next
Damn.
day, it's literally.
You went to the club in Berlin, the
Yeah,
final
exactly,
club, dude.
exactly.
Now you gotta get to the airport at 5 a.m.
Literally, that's what it is. And Adam's like, literally, they're
Day
like
20.
intoxicated, like with wine. He goes, and then the next day they wake up and they're like, holy fuck, we're
Damn,
horrible. And Adam goes on this long rant, like he's like Job, like he's the most afflicted of men. And the whole thing, the reason they didn't want to eat the fruit is because they let death enter into the world. That was the punishment. The whole time they said death is coming in. And they ate it and they didn't die.
Oh,
and they're like,
interesting. They become aware of death.
yeah, exactly. And they ate it and they didn't die. And they're like, what's happening? God's making us wait. But the real death is on their descendants. They have to live, right? But their descendants will die. And so Eve suggests that they just kill themselves, right? Which would be the ultimate freedom in God's in spite of God, which Satan has been doing the whole time. He's been being free in spite of God. Because the whole tree of life in the garden was just an obedience test. And God says that explicitly, right? He says, I'm just testing their obedience.
Okay.
I want them to freely love me, right?
Okay.
And I know they're going to fall anyway.
Okay.
No. I mean, just hit it. Like once, and
No,
then
definitely.
once Adam and Eve start talking to each other, and then they get in a nasty fight after they eat the fruit too. But then Adam's real forgiving. That's one of the things that I think is sick about it too. Is
Adam is forgiving.
Adam is forgiving of Eve. He like snaps off at her and says, "You're horrible. You're the serpent." And then she says something back, and he's like, "You know what? We're in this together. Like, let's just be nice and love each other."
Baby.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good. It's really good.
Okay, so 2 questions. One is, one is, and I don't know how much you've, like, basically, like, when I don't quite know why I'm reading a book, I need to go, there's a long trajectory of different books I need to read in order to get caught up. And it usually goes, but it starts with Vico.
Yeah.
I need to understand the anthropological understanding of what this old story represents, like in human evolution, you know?
Yeah.
So like, are you thinking about that at all? And then B, are you thinking at all about why Milton is writing like this based on his wife dying and then taking on a second wife?
Yeah.
And then her dying and the infant dying.
And he always had a tough relationship with the women. His first wife came to his house, right? She was there one day, and she went back home and didn't come back for 3 years. She was like, I cannot be with this man. Because he was just old, right? He was in he was like 37
wife?
and she was like 16.
Oh my God.
Right? And she was like, I just cannot be with this dude. So, and it's just funny how surrounded he is by women.
So she
right?
had to come back when she was 18?
Yeah. Well, I think finally her parents were like, you have to
Milton
go back.
got canceled
Yeah,
today,
exactly.
dude. That's a fucking
But
long play groom
It is
job.
funny how surrounded he was by women, all these wives and his,
and his daughters,
right? And Eve really comes off like fighting for freedom. It's almost like he is aware of his own, like,
imposition on
exactly, about how he demands obedience and how they're fighting for freedom in place of his obedience.
Well, this is a huge unlocking right there, right?
Yeah, it's all about. Yeah, because it's all about obedience in some ways, and then Satan just wants to be obedient to himself, right? It's that. Yeah, they're in the vanity of it too. But no.
Satan's not aware that he dies. He doesn't die. He's an angel.
No, but he is aware of his full misery. Okay. He gets, and that's another thing too. Like how like when he sees Eve for the first time, it's the first time in the whole book that he forgets his misery.
Okay.
And it says, I forgot it for a moment because she was so fair. It was like intoxicating, which also like, there's a stench of sexual sin around the whole Eve and Satan, and she's escaping, right? And he thinks she's so fair. But, and the obedience thing is interesting because, one, in Milton's personal life, where he is, and how demanding he is of all the people around him, right? As a blind guy, right? And he needs his daughters to read to him in Hebrew, right? They don't fucking know Hebrew, and they got to like struggle out the words for him because he's trying to be erudite while he's fucking convalescent, right?
Okay. He got gout.
Exactly. I mean, he's all fucked up, and people want to kill him, and
sounds like me, dude.
And the whole thing of obedience when they just killed the king, right? That was something that, right? He was involved in killing the king,
right.
And this whole thing is about king. I mean, there's
around the last Saturn-Jupiter conjunction too. Let's not.
1667, right?
Yeah, that was 1626. So it was right when he was born.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was. I mean, I remember
right when he was 20.
In Godfrey's class, we read Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Wuthering Heights and Paradise Lost. I think Wuthering Heights is like a rewriting of Paradise Lost. And I spurged out on an email to Godfrey about it. Yeah, crazy. And she liked that one, and she hit me back all nice. And then I forget what else we read, and I kind of went OD on something again. And she's like one word response.
Whatever, bro.
Like she was not
she
interested.
She put me in her acknowledgments.
She did?
Of her posthumous book.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Nicola sent me that. Yeah.
Wow.
I gotta read that.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
But that was funny. That was after
so
she
funny.
found out I was.
Yeah. after you
Yeah,
done
yeah.
fucking eating from the tree of
Yeah,
good and
yeah,
evil
literally.
in the Zoom, dude.
But no, you. I mean, I'm telling you, you're gonna unlock things.
No,
with the
definitely,
Paradise
definitely.
Lives.
And
I mean, I think the flow is when he gets good. Like I think it's real good. I mean, when it's like.
are you contextualizing in that trajectory of like this story? Because like, the marriage burial thing of Vico.
Yeah.
Extends far. Where
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for
you have,
everything.
like these earliest stories. Like that's another thing. I was like listening to all these different videos of people talking about the story of Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
Which is like the first story.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
that story?
I don't know it, but I've heard of it.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't know anything about it other than that there's like a flood story in it.
Yeah, but it's like okay, so like I when I was out there, I started listening to this dude's like YouTube lectures. Did I
Yeah.
tell you about that? I was getting all
No.
up in these. Oh, I haven't, dude. I gotta, dude. This dude snaps. Like one day I was like listening to a Nietzsche lecture. He got like, then I realized he died last year, and then I read a New York Times obituary of him after I listened to like 50 of his lectures. Like he's just, and there's all these, and apparently he got really big during the pandemic on YouTube. Because people were
And
just
he
trying
just
to like,
lectures about philosophy?
he was a Princeton professor.
Yeah.
And like the 80s, there was like a Great Mind series, and he's just sitting there with no notes.
Yeah.
Pacing back and forth, just spitting for an hour.
Wow.
About all these topics and just snapping, dude. He has a Nietzsche lecture.
Yeah.
This really like famous Marcus Aurelius was like the one that went most crazy on
Yeah.
YouTube. He has one on fucking the Apostle Paul. He has one on.
Oh,
fucking-
really?
Dude, they're pretty fire, dude. Like they get you charged up. He has
Ye-
one on fucking Aquinas.
Yeah.
One on everybody.
Yeah,
dude.
wait, send that to me.
I'll send some
yeah,
to you,
yeah.
dude. But he was talking about that big. He was talking about that big of Gilgamesh, and he got one, and he totally contextualized the Bible of when they were written,
Yeah.
and like what was going on during the time,
Yeah.
and like what they represent. He's sick, dude. But the idea is that like with connecting it to the Vico of like the marriage burial thing. The first stories are all about an awareness of death, humans coming into an
Yeah.
awareness of their own death. That's the formation of the ego above
Yeah.
animals, right? Like your life is gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the second is the idea of marriage or a type of like any type of forestalling of immediate impulses for a larger
Yeah.
good. Right? So these are both in the fall, it sounds like kind of. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? 'Cause
yeah,
the
yeah.
fall comes before everything in Vico's chronology.
Yeah.
Like before because the Jews were the first.
Yeah, it's the first thing. The fall's the first thing.
Right. Right?
After
Right.
the
before
after
the
creation.
flood.
Yeah, yeah. it's
Then the
before
flood.
Yeah, yeah.
Then
the
all
flood.
the other things come after. The Greeks, the Egyptians,
Yeah.
the fucking Chaldeans, you know?
But yeah.
So like so in the Gilgamesh story, it's like a guy, he's like a leader of the town.
Yeah.
Of the city. He's the king.
Mm-hmm.
And basically every time a man's about to get married to a woman, he goes, nah. And he's jacked and he's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
strongest.
He's a big guy.
He's a big guy. And every time there's about to be a marriage,
Yeah.
he goes, nah, dude, let me smash that first.
Oh
and
shit.
He goes and fucks her.
Nah.
And then after a while, the people start going, bro, this dude's kind of out
Yeah.
of control, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
What's
What
he get
the
to fuck my
Yeah,
wife for,
Yeah,
dude?
yeah. So then Ishtar, the god, sees this happening, and she creates another character whose name is God damn it, his name is it's something Enkidu.
Enkidu. Yeah.
And he's half animal. He's outside of the city gates. In the city and outside of the city is very
Yeah.
important in these old stories, right? Because it's the primeval fucking range. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where there's no, and he has horns. He's half animal.
Okay.
And he comes into the city, and Ishtar makes him to fight him, and he comes in the city, and they start fighting. And they're
Him and
fucking
Gilgamesh?
Him and Gilgamesh.
Yeah, oh, shit.
And they're wrestling, knocking all through the city.
Yeah.
And fucking finally, Gilgamesh defeats him. But then instead of killing him, he says, "Come on, bro. Like we're all good, dude. Like it's
Oh,
all love."
shit,
And
yeah.
they become friends, which is an old same in Parsifal.
Yeah. Oh shit.
It's the savage part.
Yeah.
It's the shadow part, and you fight that.
Yeah.
And then you're bros.
Oh shit.
That's how Parsifal ends.
Yeah.
He meets his long lost brother.
And they fight?
And they fight,
And then become friends?
Parsifal's the long lost brother's about to kill him, and he stops, and they become bros.
You know, that's German. I didn't even know that was a German
Parsifal?
word. Yeah.
Yeah, Parsifal's it's 1200s, I think. I gotta contextualize that. It might be 1300s. It's the north. It's from the northern tradition.
I think.
The northern Germanic tradition, right? So then that happens, and then basically, I think he chills out a little bit, and then what happens one day? Oh, and then one point, like Ishtar tries to like fuck him, but then the god, he's like, no, everyone you sleep with like ruins every. So there's something about withholding. You know what I mean? Like from sleeping with everyone's wife to withholding, and then what happens is Enkidu dies, and the guy who's in that lecture was saying this is the moment of like the hero, and then but they're like twins because they're bros. He's the only one who's on his level. Everyone else is below him, and him witnessing Enkidu dies makes him realize his own mortality.
Oh shit!
This is the first point in humanity where, before you're running around, you see people die, you're just like, oh, whatever. Yeah. They're like a plant, and then you're like, no, he's like me.
Oh
and
shit!
He died, so that means I also am gonna die. So then he goes on a long journey to try to not die. And he stays awake for 9 nights.
Whoa!
Never sleeps. Yeah. Sleep is associated with death. And then he like meets a lady, like a wise woman, and she says like, you're gonna die, and it's like okay or something like that. And then he goes back and like just tries to be a good ruler, and he says like, and he reckons with the fact that he's gonna die, and he's just like, I'm just gonna try to like rule as well as I can. I'm gonna write my story down.
Wow.
So
and that's it.
Gilgamesh. Yeah.
Oh, that's.
I mean,
sick.
I'm sure there's more to it, but that's what I remember. So like, there seems to be something about. I mean, obviously, and then.
But that's something that
a tree of knowledge. Yeah.
Adam and they come into contact with is not just death, right? Just like their job was to be fruitful and multiply, and all of a sudden they have to think of death for their whole descendancy, right? They know what they're supposed to do, and they haven't not even thought of death, right? But now everyone they're gonna rear will die, and they got to come to terms with that.
And then
and have woe. They don't know woe, right? Which is what Satan wants them. Right? Satan, all of a sudden, who is the most beautiful in heaven and perfect, all of a sudden he's miserable because of his freedom. Right? And he just feels pain and misery and suffering, though he doesn't want to reconcile with God. I think he's happy with his freedom, even through the misery, but he wants to cause Adam and Eve the same misery because God created them afterward as like kind of a consolation prize. Oh, if Lucifer won't love me, these two will. These humans will.
Right.
And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to fucking trick them and fuck God over.
Right. And that's what we have in us?
See, I don't know. Like, it's really interesting.
Do you ride with that? Isn't there a whole vein of like, and Satan's like us, for real?
Yeah, there is the Satan's good.
Vein?
Yeah, that's, I mean.
Like, does Milton think he's Satan?
No. I think
that's
it's tough to say what Milton thinks.
Right.
But I think that he believes that obedience is the answer.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's interesting. Obedience to a perfect leader, like in the way that Dante thinks too. Yeah. Dante is all about obedience to the perfect leader.
Yeah.
And Charles I, who they beheaded, was an imperfect leader, and so obedience to him was bad and unnecessary. But one thing that is always.
How does Trump fit into this?
Trump is the supreme good, right? And he's the most powerful being, so we have to be obedient to him.
Bro, I was listening to Talking Long Island. I have been listening. I'm going to listen to his talks just on an artistic level, like just to understand it. And sometimes some of the things he says are just. He's like, they're coming on our fields. They're coming into our towns. Yeah. They're coming to the fields where we used to play Little League. We used to play Little League. But now, I was just dead. I was like, this is an impression of him. Dude.
Yeah.
He's like, they're coming into our towns. They're coming into our neighborhoods. They're coming onto our fields where we used to play Little League.
Little League. Let me see the paper that we're in.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I see some tobacco too?
Yeah.
But see that, I mean, like, what makes a guy who is under threat of death, is blind, fucking lived his whole life, right, is literally suffering every day, want to write about Adam and Eve, right? There must be something extremely personal to it. And that's another thing I got
I mean,
from.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the answer to the question, right?
Yeah.
Like, think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Milton,
Yeah.
and this is a vocation. Like, I actually don't think literature is the salvation. It's fucking joining the brotherhood.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
joining the vocation, dude.
Yeah,
answering
for
the
real.
call, which is actually what literature is.
Yeah.
But that's not what anybody's on today, dude.
Yeah,
that's
and
what it is.
that's
dude.
what
That's what I feel like, bro.
I just don't like. How are you writing or interested in literature, and you're not thinking about Dante and these guys, or even like curious? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that
Well, we need translators. He was a translator for his time.
who?
Milton,
Yeah.
of them.
Of who?
Of Dante, of Virgil.
Oh,
of,
yeah,
of the
yeah,
Iliad,
yeah.
of Homer.
Yeah, he was.
He was the translator for the time to the people.
interpreting them,
Interpreter.
and spitting them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We
yeah.
need updated translators. We got some.
Yeah,
we
you're
got
right.
Some, but,
well,
but they're
okay.
always like with
so
some,
it's not everybody's job to know all this, right?
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
it's
My dad read my Dante essay, and he's like, "Dude, I read more than I ever read, dude. I went on some fucking Wikipedia benders. Like, I learned about fucking the Odyssey and Homer." I was like, "Nice,
yeah,
bro."
that's sick. Yeah, that's what
He's like, "I'm never gonna read them, but you should keep writing because like I'll read
yeah.
yours."
Milton thought he shared a muse with Homer and Dante and all them guys. That's what they had the
Don't
same
even get me
muse,
going,
right?
dude. Matthew saying, "I think I'm Jesus."
That you think you're Jesus. Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's. I actually had that epiphany where it's like, if you reduce Christ to like what do you actually? I'm curious. What do you think about that question? Do you, in terms of obedience, like I feel like maybe you didn't get to the second hour, but for about the second hour, we were.
I still gotta listen.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you don't, but we were getting to this thing where it was like, Matthew really wanted me to admit that like I believe, like historically, that like Christ was a real person and everything that it says in the Gospels happened exactly, and that he is God, and that if you believe that, that's what having faith is. Do you know what I'm saying? Versus, but like the whole point is that Christ is an instance of the divine coming into the common
it's irrelevant
man.
to me.
It's
I think,
irrelevant,
if,
right?
if Christ was real.
That's what
or
I think.
not.
I think it's irrelevant.
Or if he rose from the dead. I don't think
Right.
that's not relevant to me.
That's not. But the logic of that is sort of old pre-Christian logic.
Yeah.
It's obedience to a thing, and then your salvation comes through obedience to the higher thing. But
Yeah.
the whole point of the Christ story is that the higher thing can come into the common person. I don't know. That's what I've been thinking.
I completely
And then
agree with
I
that.
had the epiphany where I was like, there are instances I see all the time
Yeah.
in music and someone doing a spirited rant
Yeah,
where I'm
yeah.
like, whoa, that's an
That,
incarnation.
yeah,
of it.
exactly.
You think, you know?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm not
no,
crazy
no,
for
I'm
that.
with you 100%.
Yeah.
But
He was sending me a Kanye rant of him on a podcast.
Yeah.
He's like, you fucking feds. Like, man, fuck off. I was like, but I got chills watching
Yeah.
it. He goes, you speaking his truth
Yeah.
so much. I was like, bro, this is an incarnation.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit coming through.
No,
he was like,
that's-
no, that's the demon possessing him. I'm like, well, you sent it to me, bro.
and see, I think like it's interesting that Matthew said his favorite gospel is John, and then that's the best one. Because I think that's the least mysterious one.
Really?
Yeah. The
Interesting.
most mysterious one by far is Mark.
You think?
Yeah. Mark's the
Why,
most
dude?
mysterious.
Dude, I just read last night. Talk about what I'm reading.
Yeah.
I'm reading. And a nice woman, Ellie, said, I need to say everything I'm reading because that's the reason why people listen. Because in the
Yeah.
last pod, I was like, y'all don't care what I'm reading. Peace. But I'm reading fucking Correction. But
Okay.
like yesterday, I was cycling through a bunch of different books. Oh, you know what I need to finish? Day of the Dead, dude.
The Day of the Dead. What's that? Oh, Under the Volcano.
I
Oh
need to
shit.
finish-
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
be able to finish my book until I finish Under
Yeah,
Volcano.
yeah.
This is one of the books I'm copying.
It's
for,
Dante the fuck out.
for the new book. Yeah, Correction. Love a Singular Man did come off the shelf, but it didn't finish.
Yeah.
And I'm running back 26/6, starting on book 2 because I
Oh,
ran
you
it back
are?
for a 4th time, but only got through book 1.
Okay.
I've read Matthew 26 to end.
Okay. Matthew. Yeah.
26 to
Yeah.
end. Yes, last night. 26 to the end.
So like the Passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And You have to limit your purview, kind of. Though,
Yeah.
In order to be I was like, this is hitting different. And I think that like I do have to limit my purview to till the physical events of Holy Week.
Yeah. So
It's astounding though, because everything's gonna be in there.
you know what was interesting was
Right? All those events. But the temptation of Christ
Yeah.
is kind of like the temptation of Adam and Eve, right?
it's a
Temptation.
lot like that. It's
Yeah.
Satan tempting
That's
him,
the
but he's
connection.
more powerful, right?
That's the connection I think I need to make.
And but he didn't have a good angle for Christ, right? He's showing him, oh, you can, and it's this recurring phrase. It's like a motif almost. It's like princedoms, like it's a list of dominions, princedoms, kingdom, and like it's just like what you're in charge over, what's your purview. God says it, Satan says it, like when they're discoursing to people, and it's just like, oh, look, this is all you own and everything that's obedient to you, right? So much of the book is about power, like who has political power, because it's a lot. I mean, everyone's forming cities, right? God has a city. Satan,
Towers of Babel.
yeah, exactly. When Satan is leaving, or when he breaks away from God, he forms his own city in the north, right? He has like North Heaven, where he's in charge, and then he goes to hell. The first thing they do,
North.
North.
Yeah.
The first thing they do is they form a city in
Interesting.
hell.
Interesting.
Right?
That is a way to
was I
freedom,
gonna
though,
say
is
before
to
that?
form your own city.
Yeah.
I kind of think I'm forming my own city.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that's what Aeneas has to do.
Aeneas has to found a city.
Found a city. That's what Christopher Columbus has to do.
Yeah, Christopher Columbus.
I like
Columbus
including-
is mentioned in then. Milton mentions Columbus.
Wow, because 1492, yeah. What does he say?
Just what he's talking about, Adam and Eve
Okay.
not getting naked anymore.
Oh,
He's like, and the Indians Columbus saw were also not. They also covered themselves with the leaf.
that's a big thing. I mean, that's the thing for me too. It's when you've been naked and you don't realize you've been
Yeah.
naked and you suddenly realize
Yeah.
you're naked. That's a very powerful idea.
Yeah, that's true. In the lust, as soon as they eat the fruit, they fucking fuck the shit out of each other.
Yeah, I was reading that on the Wikipedia page, dude.
No, but what we have any more questions?
Oh yeah, let's see.
Yeah, let's see a question.
They were.
You know, someone commented on one of our YouTubes that we should read Kairos. Do you remember that comment?
No,
That
what's Kairos?
It's a Jenny Eprenbeck book, and it's set in Berlin. So I got it in Berlin,
okay.
and it's kind of funny. It's like it's not funny.
Okay.
But it's like a old writer starts this affair with this 19-year-old girl,
Okay.
right? And it's just like,
Whoa.
and the perspective is she's old now and she's married to someone else and he just
Okay.
died, and she's going through their old journals and stuff like that and cataloging their relationship.
She died first?
No, he died first.
Oh, he died.
Right?
Oh wow. What's this?
It's pretty good.
What Cairo? When is it?
It's recent. It's contemporary.
Okay,
It's New
nice.
Directions. But I just got to. Berlin is such a crazy city, just with all the history, right? That was fucking Nazi headquarters.
True.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
till
how
I
was
like-
Berlin?
Berlin was sick.
Yeah, you going to those clubs? That was funny as hell, dude.
That club was funny.
I never seen you get hyped to go to a club in my life, dude.
I'm not.
Okay, someone said
But they told me
you
I
may
couldn't
want
get in, right?
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, I'm getting in.
yeah. Oh yeah. So you might want to check out Julian Grok. You know that?
No.
Okay, Reading Writing, 1980. Brooklyn publisher, Turtle Point Press, put out a translation in 2006. Grok wrote an excellent novel, The Opposing Shore, Pre-Goncourt, 1951.
Oh, it's French?
Yeah, another French novelist worth your time is Pierre Michon.
Jack Hodling told me about that
No
guy.
way.
He has Small
That's
Lives.
two.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, maybe we got to hit that
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, he told me I have to hit it, and he usually has good,
Okay.
he has good taste.
Okay, Pierre Michon, that's on the
Yeah,
fucking
okay, there we
docket.
go. Nice.
Um,
French. You know who I'm going to be on
What?
is Rabelais. You know Rabelais?
No, what's that again?
Francois Rabelais. This
Oh,
is 16th century, early 16th century.
Okay.
He was he wrote Gargantua and Pantagruel,
Okay.
right? And I don't know so much about it, right? I just know that it's supposed to be like bawdy and irreverent, and he was like a priest,
Okay.
and and a doctor, and he had all sorts of kids, and interesting guy, and like in that 16th century where who got fucking killed by, people were getting killed for heresies and all sorts of stuff. I remember the guy who discovered that the heart has like the circulation through the heart. The guy that found out about circulation was burned at the stake for that idea. Like that's the kind of time period it was.
All those
right?
people got burned by the stake, dude.
But Rabelais, that's what I'm on next, because nobody reads him. He's supposed to be hard, and he's French.
Okay, sick, dude.
But in Nard's last book, the Banquet of the Gravediggers Guild.
Okay, yeah.
That Rabelais is a big part of that, like the feast. Remember the feast?
That's what I know about him.
Yeah, because he's Nard and him are from the same town.
Okay. Damn, dude.
But-
You want to take a quick pause? I gotta fucking pee so bad, dude.
Let's pause.
All right.